Lose my breath whenever I see you. You stole my heart, what is it that you do?
The water racing industry, and owners are a very important part of the industry. I've spoken to a couple of owners on my show previously, and joining me today is Louise Yates, one of the owners of a Queensland star named Rothfire. G'day, Louise. How are you?
G'day, Ben. I'm good, thank you. A little chilly up here at the moment, but all good.
Interesting you say that, because I'm down here in Melbourne, and usually we envy all of you up north at this time of year when it's freezing down here and it's nice up there.
Character for our beautiful part of the land.
Tell me, Louise, first up, how did you get into Rothfire, trained by Rob Heathcote?
Well, it is a little bit of a long story. We bought a cheapie. Cheapies have done us very well, actually. We bought a cheapie, and that was trained up in originally from Victoria, and his name was Break Time. He came up, and where he'd only won one race down in Victoria, and he'd been sold because he was considered not that crash hot. He arrived up here, loved our tracks, and won 5 in a row. So he set us up, and my son had gone into this with a few of his mates from school, so we knew the people involved, and they were looking for a few other owners to come in to buy that horse. And he asked us, and they agreed, and then we spoke to other friends of ours, 2 other couples, and they came in. So when that horse retired, we thought, we'll just stick together and we'll see whether we can find something else that takes our fancy. Anyway, we looked around for a little while. My son we decided we'd like to go with Heathcote because he's got such a fantastic reputation. He really is a great trainer. And so we just kept an eye on his website. My son and his friend, they spotted Rothfire, and they went, okay, well, this horse is super cheap and we can afford it. So they passed the photo around. We all went, yeah, yeah, it's got a tail, 2 ears, 4 legs. Let's go for it. So we bought him. And, of course, he was just a yearling. He had sat on the website for 4 months. Nobody had taken any interest whatsoever. He'd been overlooked by the people from Magic Millions who'd come to assess him, along with other horses from the stud in Chinchilla where he was raised. And look, they didn't know what to do, and basically they offered the breeders offered Rothfire to Rob Heathcote for pretty much what it would cost to get him down from Chinchilla to down, to Brisbane. So when he started running, we were all just blown away. He went out for his first trial and won by 7 lengths, and he just kept winning. So, yeah, we were very fortunate, very fortunate.
Tell me about the day Rothfire won the JJ Atkins. What a thrill that would have been, a Group 1 race. Amazing.
Well, I tell you what, they would have heard. We were at my son's place in Mount Cotton, which is up on top of a hill overlooking a valley, and there wouldn't have been anybody in that valley who didn't hear us screaming. And there wasn't many of us in the room because it was in the midst of COVID, and we were all in lockdown, and we were only allowed 10 people per household as a maximum. So we were all there huddled together, but no, it was super exciting. We could not believe it. It was, my husband and I had always said, we always wanted to have racehorses, and we always dreamt about having a Group 1 winner. And it was incredible that there we were, and it was actually happening. It was one of the real highlights of our lives. Absolutely a highlight. Wonderful.
It's kind of funny, actually, because you beat Got a Kiss in that race, and I'm good friends with some people in the syndicate that had a share in Got a Kiss as well.
Well, we have a very fond spot for Got a Kiss, and we've followed her all the way through. We love her. We always would have a bet on her. We just thought she was a fantastic filly. That day it was the first time, his first race, he beat her, but everybody had their money on Got a Kiss because she was so popular and such a gorgeous filly. And we didn't beat her by much, I might add. So it was a thrilling competition between the two of them, and in that situation, Rothie ended up on top. But I tell you, she is a gorgeous horse, and we, as I say, we got. I had lots and lots of tweets and emails and all the rest of it with some of the owners, and we talked about catching up and all that kind of thing. We really, I'm with you on that. Lovely people and a gorgeous horse.
Away from Rothfire, have you currently got any shares in any other horses at the moment?
Yes, we do, actually. We have Rothfire is one of 4 that we have with Rob Heathcote. And I mean, once bitten, I guess, Ben, hey?
That's right.
It's a hard thing to give up. That adrenaline rush, and it's just such a exciting, honestly, we live for it. In fact, all 4 in the stable at the moment, which is quite unusual to have all 4 of them in at the same time. So yeah, it's an exciting time. But we've got 3 fillies with him. One that isn't racing yet. She's just turned. She'll be turning 2 in August, and the other 2 will turn 4. But they're racing. We've got a nice little extreme choice, and she's won a couple of races. Mm-hmm. And they've been midweek races that she's won, but we expect her to step up now in her 4th year. She's really maturing beautifully. We have Nazoni Lass, which is an Oconee filly, and she's just coming back after having an operation to remove a couple of chips around her knee. But she's doing well, and hopefully she'll show up this prep and do some good things. She looks ready. So it's exciting times. But we have a horse with Rains Racing over in Western Australia. And Sean Rain is a mate. And so we have a young colt with him. Oh, he's probably a gelding by now, but again, he hasn't started racing. So we've got a lot of young ones. We love the young ones. You just feel so much a part of their life. It's not taking on an older horse. It's not the same. It's you're there when they're babies, and you watch them grow, and you see them mature, and you don't know what you've got. And they can surprise you like Rothie did.
Completely different here, but in a previous life, you were an actor for television and movies. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Sure. Well, I started my acting career very early when I was 15, and I started with Bellbird, which was a long-running ABC series, and I'm sure that you will have a few listeners out there who will remember that show, but it ran for, 15 years or something. And so I joined the show, and not long after I joined the show, I was involved in a car accident with my family, and I ended up breaking my back and sustaining a spinal injury, which left me in a wheelchair. So that, believe it or not, and I can barely believe it myself, was 50 years ago. I was told at that point that my career was pretty much over. My TV career was pretty much over. It was dead. That I'd probably be more suited to radio and other mediums, but definitely not TV. I wasn't considered acceptable anymore as a person with a disability. But a few of the actors got behind me, and they forced the ABC to take me back. And so I went back into Bellbird, and after I finished there, I went into a show called Cop Shop. And I was in originally I was only employed for 3 months in that series, but Hector Crawford, he had a long-term woman that worked for him she was always beside him in a domestic role as a cleaner and whatever. And she absolutely loved my character. And she said, if you do not bring this girl back, I will leave you. I will leave your employment after 35 years of working for you or whatever it was. And anyway, so he rang his nephew, Ian Crawford, who was heading up the company at that time, and said, well, write that girl back in. So I went back into the series and I was with them for 4 years. And then I did some other things with different channels, Beauty and the Beast with Darren Hinch, and another show called Together Tonight, which was it was like The Project. It was kind of like a forerunner to that with Channel 10. And then I left television because at that point I was ready to have a family. And then I had three boys, all in the space of 4 years. So I was a very busy mum.
Do you feel though you were a champion for disability being portrayed in a positive light on film and TV? And I say that because back in those days, it probably wasn't something that was spoken much about compared to now. There's always different initiatives for people with disabilities these days.
Yeah, definitely. I was the only person with a visible, identifiable disability on television in Australia. And the fantastic thing about Crawford's was that once I went back into the series, I was invited to work with the writers to develop up themes and ideas and storylines that would promote what people with disabilities can do. And an example of that was that I sat down with them and I said, look, in my life, here I am. I'm on a national television series, the second series, long-running series that I've been involved with since I've been in a wheelchair. I live independently. I have a partner. I've got friends. I've got a life. Why wouldn't we be writing storylines like that? Why can't Claire, my character in Cop Shop, be have just as much of a vibrant life as I do? And they said, yes, absolutely. So, they got busy and we wrote a love story. She fell in love with Tony Benjamin, the copper that her dad worked with. We got married. We had a baby. She took up a business with her friend, and she ended up being an advocate. And the way they killed me off was that she was on her way to Canberra to fight for the rights of people with a disability and had a bus crash. So, it was all of those things. So it was really great exposure at a time when disability was really hitting the fore. It was in that period when we had International Year of Disabled Persons in 1981, and so it raised a lot of issues and a lot of ideas that people that were, as you say, a little bit unusual, a little bit foreign to people. And people with the whole idea of a person in a wheelchair having a baby, and wow, can that really happen? And all those sorts of things. So we crossed some lines there that were at the time, quite confronting, I think, for some people. Definitely.
And until January this year, you were you had a PR business, or you were involved in one called Rare Fish. Do you feel that having been on the other side of the camera gave you a more rounded view rather than just having previously been a PR agent? And I'll say that because some of these media and PR communications people, sometimes I don't think they fully understand how much work goes into producing the content as well as doing the PR and the marketing as well.
Look, absolutely. When you work in media, it really is one of the. It's a thirsty beast. It's a hungry beast. It takes everything. It takes a lot of energy to produce good quality good quality results, be it your, blogs like yours, or journals, magazines. There's a heck of a lot of things that you have to get right. It's got to be entertaining. It's got to captivate people. And engage them in some way. It needs to hit home. Not just in an intellectual sense, but also in an emotional sense. You've got to develop all these different touchstones for your audience, which is broad, and it's got to be accurate. It's got to be faithful to all those principles about not misleading people, but giving them genuine, content, no matter what medium you're working in, and I guess for the whole industry, making sure that you're adding to the credibility of the industry and what you do. For instance, I'm a journalist by trade. I studied journalism and worked at newspapers, and then went into PR. But people just have this idea of, oh God, journalists, you can't trust them.
Correct. I'm a journalism graduate myself too. I know full-time work is one, but I've had the same thing said to me too.
Yeah. You're the lowest of the low. You're just like, lawyers, politicians. You make it up as you go. Don't get facts. Don't let facts get in the way of a good story. That kind of stuff. And really, so there's each one of us who works in the media has a responsibility to make sure that we're accurately and authentically delivering stories to people that that affect the way we think and the way we feel about things and the ideas that we have about them.
You're involved very much within the community now. You've recently taken up a role as CEO of Tangalooma Eco Marines. Could you tell me a little bit about that? Because you were a lady of leisure, but then you got approached to head up that organisation.
Well, I tried to be a lady of leisure. I retired on the 30th of January, and by the 15th of February, I was CEO. So, that was I think it's the fastest retirement that exists. But it was pretty funny, the whole thing, the way it all happened. But several years ago, when I first started my own PR company, I was asked to work with Tangalooma Island Resort, which is a beautiful resort on Moreton Island, about 70 minutes boat ride across Moreton Bay from Brisbane. It's a national park. It's a marine park, and it's just an idyllic spot. And one of the things that they had done was set up a education and conservation centre on the island that was very new. And we started talking about what opportunities might exist to take the knowledge about the marine life of Moreton Bay into schools and educate kids in schools. And so we wrote up this project, and look, it's developed over the years. We became a charity in 2013, a registered charity. And in 2014, we started working with schools in Brisbane. We are now supported by private enterprise and government to expand and take our program to Queensland schools everywhere. And we're hoping to be able to go to other states of Australia in the coming few years, maybe 3 to 5 years, to introduce the program there. It's a freshwater, marine water management education program. It really focuses on leadership among students. So they decide what they're going to work on, how they're going to protect the marine environment and the wildlife and the freshwater resources that we have and the wildlife on land to stop pollution from entering our waterways, which is such a huge problem.
I mean, I remember when I was going to school, we touched a little bit on the environment, but it was more so talking about just make sure you put your rubbish in the bin in the school playground. And they didn't touch too much on the ecosystems within the ocean, but with what you're doing, hopefully that will have the impact these days, and kids will know, I better not flush this down the toilet, or I better not do that when it comes to the water.
Exactly right. And these kids, I cannot tell you, Ben, these kids are so driven because they hear all the news. They know about climate change. And these are young kids pretty frightened. When I was growing up in the 60s, it was all about the atomic bomb, and it was all fear about that. But these kids in 2020, 21, 22, 23, it's all about climate change and the threat that it poses to all of us right across the planet. And so they feel like, we've got some control over this. We can do something. And we're giving them the opportunity to not just lead, but to develop tools through their own creativity and application to get other people involved and excited about conserving our water resources. So, we're really setting them up for a future that is going to, be with them, as they grow into adulthood. They'll always remember their experiences, and what they learn, they'll have the tools to take with them and take others with them as well.
Racing and business, they sort of synergize together, because I say to anyone that will listen, going to a racetrack seriously is one of the best ways to meet people. I use the example all the time of, you can have a farmer on one side of you who owns half a hoofing horse, then on the other side of you can have a millionaire or a sheik from Dubai who owns a horse as well. And you get talking. I don't think there's any other sport or any other environment in the world where you can meet so many different people, rich, middle class, poor, and just so many different. It's a melting pot going to the races, I reckon.
Yeah, it sure is. And that's a fascinating thing. I mean, it's because of the excitement. It's because of they're beautiful animals. They're incredible. They're intelligent. They're gorgeous to look at. They're courageous. It's an industry with such spirit. I mean, I just look at the way that Leah Kilner after that.
Oh yeah, that's sad, isn't it? But she's on her way back.
Accident, and she rides. She rides out one of our fillies. She rides our Extreme Choice girl, whose name is Extremist, and Extremist is her favorite horse. She keeps telling me Extremist is my favorite horse. I love her. But what a gorgeous woman. But the way that the industry rallied around her and is continuing to rally around her, and it is great to see that she's starting to. She's mending, and we all know that it's going to be a long way to go for her. But you see it everywhere. You see these. The jockeys are so courageous. I call them gladiators. And
they are.
every time our horses go out on the track, we really, we just hope that our horse and our jockey come through safe and sound. That's our number one thing. If we win something, that's like a huge bonus. But there is a fraternity of, and it's all generated about all around the love of horses, and the thrill, just the thrill of these amazing athletes and what they do. And fantastic! I love it. It's just wonderful. But a classic example, Ben, is I took my car in for service the other day, and I asked how they have those courtesy buses, and I asked the courtesy guy if he'd take me into the city, and we're driving in, my husband and I, and he said, "You're the woman that owns Rothfire, aren't you?" I said,
Yep.
Yeah, and I said, "Yes, I am." Well, my husband and I, yes, we do. And And he said, yeah, I know, I've seen you at the track, and wow, what a horse. And off we went. So, and then he came back and picked us up after, when my car was done. And so we went back, and we talked horses the whole time. And he has horses with Desley Forster. But he's a country lad. His dad's a country boy, grew up with horses, and it's fabulous. It's wonderful that stuff goes on. Yeah. You just talk like old pals because you all know it,
Sure. And racing's definitely on the up in Queensland in terms of prize money. You've had your prize increases, and just recently, finally, the rest of the master plan for the Gold Coast is going ahead. Imagine Friday night racing at the Gold Coast, or a night Magic Millions meeting, racing on the glitter strip at night. Well, just imagine the amount of money that's going to bring to Queensland, and more specifically southeast Queensland. I mean, huge.
Yeah. No, look, it does. It does get you blood rushing when you think.
Oh, yeah. Even me, I'm down here in Melbourne. I love the Magic Millions. I come up every year. It's like my Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it is. Everybody gets pretty excited about the Magic Millions here, I can tell you. And it's a real experience as well. I haven't actually been there, but my husband and a few of the other our syndicate owners have been there, and it is pretty exciting from what I understand. But I think there was a lot of talk and a lot of concern about night racing and just how it fits with the horses and how it fits with the jockeys, and it's a fair call as well, because you do have a lot of people on the ground, a lot of staff on the ground that have to get, they have to prep those horses. They've got to get them right. It's not, like, you've got Moonee Valley. You're a lucky man.
Moonee Valley. I've got my Cox Plate jacket on today.
Oh, you have to. Yeah. But I think that the hesitation, why it's taken so long to come to decisions like this, is because it does involve a lot of people from the ground up, and it means that there's got to be really like double crews working and that kind of thing. So at a time, particularly the last couple of years where it's been so hard, the last 2.5 years, getting through COVID, and the way that all the restrictions have played out, and with good reason. And we've been an amazing industry in that sense, that we've kept, we've been very tidy about it. I think it's, I do think that it's led to lots of shortages with staff, with those people that might come in from overseas that would work in the stables and support those smaller trainers who are probably just don't have the resources to turn up at meeting after meeting, weekends, nights, etc. So it'll be interesting to see how it all works, but it is exciting.
And just one last one. What does Louise Yates like to do in her spare time away from being a racehorse owner and being a CEO of an organisation?
Talking about horses? I said to a journalist once who was interviewing me, we pretty much talk about horses all the time in our house. We get pretty excited about that. No, I have to say, family, of course, and that's another great thing about horses, because 2 of our sons are in horses with us. And the third son, he knows everything there is to know. He studies everything to do with the races and what's good, what's bad, what we should be doing, how we should be doing it. He's an ultimate strategist when it comes to what races. For a stable,
then he should be a racing manager for one of the stables. Then,
yeah, absolutely. He's really hooked. It's pretty consuming, and we're also in it with our very, very close friends. And and my one of my son's in-laws are in Rothfire, and another one of the horses with us. So, our conversations just always seem to come back to that. Well, I have 3 beautiful grandchildren. One just a baby born 3 weeks ago. So that's what I love to do, to spend time with the kids and to spend time with the family and friends. It's all about that. That's a whole of life, family and friends and horses.
Louise Yates, thanks for joining me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks,
Good luck.